Hello, everyone. My name is Mirna, and on behalf of the Mindalia TV team, welcome to Mindalia live streaming, where thousands of people around the world gather daily to see the lectures and interviews organized by Mindalia TV. Today with us, Angel Rivo, CEO consultant, TV host, international public speaker, and president of the Wisdom for Kids Foundation, is co-hosting with our very dear Sunny Chase. Sunny is not only the host of this show, but she's also the host of ABC Solutionary Sundays. She is a feature writer and chief strategist for Whole Life Times, the longest running conscious life magazine in America. Sunny is a producer, moderator, and mythbuster amongst many other talents. And they're bringing a very special guest today. But before starting with them, we want to remind you that Mindalia's mission is to share information that can help raise the level of consciousness around the world. You can help us by subscribing to our channel, leaving us a positive comment down this video, or of course, liking it. With that, you are not only helping us, will you keep yourself updated with the wonderful information we share on a daily basis? Visit our different channels and platforms, Mindalia TV English, Mindalia Televisão for Portuguese, and Mindalia Televisión for Spanish. We want you to collaborate with us with your own valuable content in any of the platforms, and for that, you can just go to our website. On the top, you find a link. It says Collaborate with Mindalia, and that link takes you to a form that you can fill out for our technical team to be getting in contact with you. I'm not delaying this any further, and I have the very great pleasure of introducing Angel, Sunny, and our special guest, Craig Taubman. Guys, welcome to Mindalia live streaming. The screen is yours.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mirna, as usual, for this wonderful introduction. And great to see you again. Sunny, how is it going today?
Well, it's going very well in sunny California. We're actually having a rainstorm in May, so I think that's bringing out the Mayflowers. It's so lovely out here, and we are so excited to be with Mindalia TV today, as usual, as always.
Absolutely. And we every single week there's things that happen throughout the week. There's things that happen in the world, right? And we always try to to come here clean on Thursdays and to make sure that we make the most out of the wisdom of the incredible people that we bring to our show. But this week, I would say, apart from running, which is something that I have had to do extensively during the week, it's like I have the feeling that it's a big time of change.
Yeah,
it's a big time of things are going so fast. And actually, a lot of nodes go fast as well. And I think we're going to be talking about nodes today, don't you think?
Yeah, and when you asked me how I was doing, I found myself sort of not coming right out with information because I realized I feel in a place of, things are really challenging in the world, and we in Mindalia TV, and of course you, Angel, and I in my life always want to find the positive and find the solution in everything. So sometimes it takes a minute to stop and sort of recalibrate how to navigate through the challenges and everything of life, our personal life, and also, of course, the the challenges of what we see in our outer life that are out picturing with so much conflict and so much just really confusion. So, I'm often in disbelief with what's going on in the world, in the outer world. So again, understanding that we really have all different ways of looking at things. This past weekend, I was in San Francisco, and I was with my friend who's Persian, and she was having the Persian news on. And, there are things going on with Trump, for example, in Iran right now. And then we don't really we hear it from our perspective. And then I was in a house where they're literally showing it in Farsi and what it looks like for them, that they sort of feel invaded. And so it's just always knowing that there are many facets to the diamond. There are many parts to the elephant, and we're all on it somewhere, and maybe have a different take on what the tusk or the tail or the top may be, but we're all in it together. So
Exactly.
Cheers to that. Cheers to that.
Exactly. I'm going to use my Hawaiian mug
Oh my
today
goodness.
to do that. No worries. No worries. Exactly. I couldn't agree more. And it's exactly the same thing. I have the feeling this week that, we really have to help each other. We have to spend some time just to stop, to slow down, and to listen to each other and to help each other. And that's why, when you told me that Craig was coming to the show and Craig was going to share time with us, I said, wow, that's going to be amazing. So, because again, I remember when I was a kid, I was really blessed because my mom and dad, they didn't really have this very large education, but still they found that music was extremely relevant. So when I think it was 8 or 9 years old, they bought this record collection, classical music record collection, and we started to listen to classical music at home. And I was the only one that had those records of everybody else in my classroom. And then the music teacher, when she found that out, she said, "Okay, why don't you start explaining the rest of the classroom, pieces of that collection that you have?" And I remember, obviously, the first one was the Four Seasons of Vivaldi, and
Oh.
that really, like, every time I hear now any accords of the Four Seasons of Vivaldi, I'm just go back to the classroom with my art music teacher when I was 7, 8 years old back in Spain, in Barcelona. So that's why I was so excited. I think it plays such a great role. I mean, I imagine people with differences. Imagine people from Iran, Iraq, and Americans to be together and listening to amazing music. Music which goes beyond borders.
Yeah. Well, and music is, as we all know, it's a soul. It's the first heartbeat. The heartbeat's the first thing we ever hear in our life, which is sort of then translated into the drum beat in life. And so it's always there, and it's listening to it. It's singing it like I like to do, and being in it and singing with other people in harmony. And that's where, there's nothing like it. So I think that I would love to go ahead and bring on Craig Taubman. And I want to just tell you guys out there, and that's okay, Craig. I think we see your dog in the background. It's totally fun.
Exactly. We're fine with the dog. Absolutely.
Yeah. So Craig is a musician, songwriter extraordinaire, and what he's doing recently that he's most excited about is that he bought a property in downtown LA, and he's turned it into, which I think this is such a great model for any people out there who can do such a thing. He's turned it into a multi-use, multicultural, multi-love space, and sort of created this beautiful campfire that so many can come around, and they give food, they give, of course, music, they give places for people to be and to gather, and then that was a place where last week there was this performance of this really cool musical called Interfaith the Musical. So we may talk about that a little bit today, and what that's all about. So I would just love to bring Craig on already. Enough of my talking. Come on, Craig.
Welcome to Mindalia. Welcome to Mindalia, Craig.
Thank you for good morning.
So Craig, I know that there's so many things that you can talk with us about, but I'd love you to chat about the space that you've created with your wife, you and your wife.
Wonderful. So I don't know if you heard earlier, I said thank you for having me. I want to begin with gratitude. Thank you. And thank you to Dia for setting this up. I'm truly grateful. So in 1909, a group of immigrants from Russia built the first synagogue in downtown Los Angeles. And these were immigrants that had moved at the turn of the century and tried to establish a home where they could fulfill their dreams. Immigrant dreams are pretty consistent. Immigrant dreams don't have borders.
That's right. Amen.
Have borders. In 1926, they grew so large that they sold their building, which was called Sinai Temple, to the Welsh Presbyterian Church that held onto that property for 88 years. And held onto it as the community changed dramatically every couple of years. It would change with new immigrants. And there were Korean immigrants, there were Central American immigrants. Wherever things were having a political upheaval, people gravitated towards this area of downtown Los Angeles. It's called Pico Union. Union is Union Station. That's where the trains come in. That's where the immigrants come in. That's where the dreams land, so to speak. And in 2013, really 14, my wife and I bought the building. I'm a musician, and my expectation was to create a cool hip club in downtown LA with great music. Every night would be different music, amazing bar, amazing food. And I asked my daughter, who at the time was in a school of community organizing, what would you do, Abby, if you had the space? And she said, stupid question, Daddy. Always great to hear from your daughter. Stupid question. What does the community need? What do they want? And I took it to heart, and for 6 months, spoke with the community. They did not want a bar. They did not want a club. They did not want a restaurant. They wanted a safe place for the community to gather. And so we reimagined our space from a for-profit space to a not-for-profit space and created the Pico Union Project. And we're based on the universal principle to love your neighbor as yourself that has roots in the Jewish faith community, but everybody understands that. We changed a little bit to love your neighbor as you wish to be loved. We understood that you cannot love your neighbor if you don't know your neighbor. And living in Los Angeles, you know the 405, the 101, the 110 freeway, but you don't know your neighbor because your neighbor is next to you in a car and you never see each other. You just have to pass each other. So we create opportunities for people to get to know their neighbors. So hopefully they will be able to love their neighbors, or at least know that they don't want to love them. And I can go into more. That's my short, long answer. And I'm sticking
So congratulations for that. And I just want to say, Angel, I know that you feel this way too, that one of the things that we love about doing this show is that we bring people on who are not only doing incredible, amazing things and heroic things in their community, but that it's also such a great example of what people can do all around the world. So any of you guys listening out there, if you have spaces that you already own, or if you think of that, it's such a great idea to use as a multi-use. It's a thing that's coming to, kind of coming to be. There's some places in Chicago, there's some places all around the world where people are buying buildings and putting libraries in, or putting, other things that feel in a way throwbacks, but that are so needed still. So thank you, Craig, so much for doing this. I can't wait to go and check it out.
I'd like to add something, especially with you, good sir. My wife and I were in Spain 10 years ago, and we were only there for 3-4 days. Most of the time we spent in Madrid, and then we took a side trip to Toledo. And Toledo was like the center of intercultural, interfaith expression, the golden era of Spain, which I don't know how gold it was without air conditioning. Let's assume it was gold, right? I was blown away. For 350 years, what defined gold was people's ability to learn and love the other. They didn't, I mean, it wasn't kumbaya. It wasn't people sitting around holding hands. It was the Jewish people, you're good at this, we're good at this, we're good at this. Together, we can be gooder, we can be better, we can do better, we can dream better. And we have an amazing country. Our country's 250 years old. Golden age of Spain was 350 years. And it created great art, great philosophy. So 4 years after that, when we're introduced to the Pico Union Project, it was serendipitous, I think, that we had this experience 4 or 5 years previously in Toledo, and saw not what is, but what ought to be. Not what is, but what could be.
And
I mean, to be clear, I want to what's really, for me, my point there is I didn't invent the wheel. It's been going on a long time before. I don't own that wheel. That notion of sharing and caring existed, what was it, the 15th, 16th century, for hundreds of years. It's possible.
Awesome. Well, great. Thank you for, Craig. Thank you for bringing this to my memory. On top of all this, obviously, it's a place where the food is extraordinary. So, you know,
Else, let's just go to the food.
exactly. Interestingly enough, by the way, Sunny, we've never brought anybody that is able to bring, like food into spirituality, both of those things together. And there's definitely a mysticism in there. But let's go back to this amazing conversation. It's great that we're talking about this because this week I went to one of those networking events that you don't really know what you're going to see, and you will see why I'm talking about this now. And the guy in front of the room was the CEO of a multi-billion-dollar, company here in the U.S. The name of the guy is Bob Chapman, and he's the CEO of Berry Wellmiller, which is a very well-known company here in the U.S. They're a packaging company that do many different things. But the reason why he was in the front of the room is because he's written a book and he has a leadership institute. And what he did a few years ago was to start having everybody in their company to care about everybody else. Everybody. Like, we're going to change the culture completely. And from today on, every single employee will really genuinely care about each other. We're going to make this company a real family. And fast forward, the results, the effect, the impact in everything around that company is so magic that he was mentioning that even Harvard not only wrote a case study about them, Harvard Business School, but also they are right now, they send, I think it was 7 or 8 PhDs to many different plants of this, multi-billion-dollar company with sites all over the world to analyze the effects in a company, in a business, of caring, every single employee caring for each other. So I would love you to meet with Bob Chapman. Great guy. I will.
Bob C.
Chapman, Chapman.
Beautiful.
Bob.
I'll definitely. If you can hook us up, I'd be grateful to meet him.
And they have this BWLI, which is the Berry Wellmiller Leadership Institute. BWLI. Excuse me. Sorry about that.
Oh, and I was going to just say, so details like that, but also, the broader picture of that. I've been thinking about that off and on in my life when I see the discrepancy in finances with, let's say the head of Chase Bank who makes $34 million a year, and the people who run it, who make it possible to open those doors, may get $13.75 an hour, which ends up being a fraction of what he gets. And of course, he couldn't get his money if the people were not in that building, opening the doors every day and doing the work. And so I've often wondered, when people do have this sort of separatist, like, well, we deserve this, massive amount of money every year, when they realize, if the bathrooms weren't clean, the customers wouldn't come in. I mean, there really is such a connection. And this idea of, higher and lower, or better and less than, and all of that, just kind of really shocks me. Actually, I mean, I'm just so amazed that we've come to that, because I remember in my lifetime as a little girl with people who own businesses, that everybody, that the person on the top, quote unquote, or the owner, was so grateful to all the people who were stacking the shelves or steaming the clothes to put into the shops or whatever. So I'm so grateful this guy is doing that. And like that. And also, you were saying something, Craig, about knowing that we can do better and be better. And I think of, we discussed this on the show a couple months ago on Martin Luther King Day, when Martin Luther King's son, Martin Luther King Jr., or the third, was talking about his dad and saying that he knew that America, this sort of idea of make America great again, that America hasn't really arrived yet. That we have far to go to really become the great country that we can be. So I love the idea of knowing and allowing all of you great guys out there who are doing great things to remember that we're on a journey and we're getting better and better, and we can use these ideas like Craig's bringing forward to make that happen. So just wanted to say that to you guys.
So Craig, tell us a little bit more so that the audience here at Mindalia TV can know a little bit more why, how did music get into your life, and what does music represent to you today?
Okay, I was born a small Jewish boy in Millington, Tennessee. My dad was in the Navy. He had my parents had a daughter before me, 2 years, and then we moved to LA. There were 4 of us. And we would always sing, which is kind of crazy because my dad can't sing and my mom can't sing. But we created this family group. And we would tour and do songs in musical stuff and, like synagogues and temples, mostly the Jewish community. And then when I was 13 years old, one of my greatest teachers, I think truly my greatest teacher, feigned a sore throat and said, Craig, you have to lead music for the group. And I led music. And it was like the beginning for me because I was given the opportunity to be the star. And that's I think a critical, important, the greatest teacher doesn't do anything more than step aside and or lift you up. They don't have to show, they have to give you opportunity. He gave me opportunity as a little boy, and the very first song I wrote was at this camp. You see a little girl walking down the street, but she's the cutest little thing you could ever meet, but ready?
Yeah.
Her name's Barbara Cohen. She was a Jewish girl, Barbara Cohen. But then I wrote, after that song session, I wrote my very first Jewish song, which I'm 61 years old now, and it's still probably sung in more places than I can count, from what I understand. Actually, I have another story to tell you. It goes like this. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. Sweet little song. There's 3 parts, but yeah, I just was bitten by the bug, and more than bitten by the bug, I was touched by my teacher who said, "You're next. Get up, do something." Moved to Israel after high school. I went to 1 year at UCLA. Then I moved to Israel. I performed with a bunch of artists in Israel. Came back after 3 years. I went to school there too, and was an unemployed, student musician, whatever. And I would make money doing little concerts. And then my sister tapped me and she said, "Hey, you write music. Why don't you write music with me?" And I did. And the music I was writing was for my wife because she was nursery school director and I was unemployed. So I had to write music. And I went into her class probably for like $25 to teach music, and wrote some music. Somebody from the Disney Channel heard a concert and said, "Hey, you want to do a concert on this thing called the Disney Channel?" It was like 30 some years ago. I said, "Sure." My sister said, "Sure." We did it. And then my sister and I split up, not split up as brother and sister, but as singing partners. And I signed with Disney and started writing music for Disney and performing. And that was my start. That's a long introduction, but that's kind of how I started.
Wow, that's so cool. Is there a song that you can think of that you did for Disney that you'd like to share with us?
Well, I wrote the music for Toontown. Have you ever been to Toontown?
Toontown, yes. I took my kids there when they were little. Oh my God, that's so cool.
Me, I was the first and last person to sing with Mickey, Minnie, Donald, and Goofy.
Oh my gosh.
I have an album, but I think probably my most popular kid song at the time was, I wrote it Well, my son is 30 now, so 28 years ago, let's say, and it was for his first haircut. How's it go? It was a long time ago. It was time, it was clear, there was no way out. There was no use to scream, no use to shout. Wasn't right, it was clearly unfair. I knew last evening when they gave me that look, my mama shook her head and daddy shook it too. They said, hey, Craig, it's time to cut your hair. Haircut, you need a haircut, you really need a haircut. Haircut. That was my haircut song. There's video. Yeah.
Oh, what a fun dad you must be.
I was on the road, and I might have been a good dad when I was home, but I wasn't home a lot during that time. I was on the road probably, 150 days a year, and it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy. And my son and I and my daughter were all cool. My wife and I are still married, but work can be hard.
Yeah, well, we have our journeys. That's, as parents, we all know that we have something. With Mother's Day just passing a couple days ago, I was able to have Mother's Day with both my kids, which I haven't been able to do in a bit because they live in different areas and stuff. And so we chatted about a few things, and some things came out that I didn't really know how one of my sons was feeling and another one. And we were able to, just kind of get through it. And I was able to, kind of give a little more large picture, because sometimes when, we're 8 or 9 years old or 3 or 4 or even 12 or 13, we don't know the context of what our parents are going through or why they make the choices they do or take the roads they take. And then as little kids, they go with the parent. So it was a really great opportunity, even though it was a bit emotional, to kind of clean some stuff up. So just as a side note, I say to all the moms and dads out there, it's never too late to clean that stuff up. We feel sometimes like it is that something happened when they were young, but I'm here to tell you, and I say it a lot, that we can, even with our parents, even if we're, whatever age we are, or any friends, I just feel like it's such an opportunity, even if we're thinking about the connection of love, the connection of friendship, the connection of, like the Bushman that we had on last week, to be real and to use our forgiveness and to use our voice to clear up things with people. And it's a good practice to do before our birthday, I understand. Like the month before our birthday, to really kind of look at our lives and see something that maybe didn't go quite right, or something we may feel that we owe someone, or something that we just know was out of integrity. We can use that month before our birthday, to like our new year, to reach out to people and to kind of clean stuff up. So just as another tidbit of of helpfulness, that's what I'm doing right now, because my birthday is June 1st. So I'm in that process right now. So it feels really good, so I feel like that's a great way to be able to connect. And when we really feel that we're living our lives in integrity, it's so much easier, I think, to connect with other people. So Craig, do you want to talk a little bit about the Interfaith the Musical?
Sure, love to.
So Ruth Sharon was a lovely Jewish woman who just kind of out of the blue decided to write this musical. It came to her in bits and pieces, but pretty quickly. She's not a songwriter specifically. And again, like you're saying, I think at this time in our life, Angel, we've talked about this, where even there's so many challenges in the world. Part of what it is, I think, it's really calling to us to use our creativity and do things we maybe have never done before in our lives. But it's like, come on, people, we need all of us. We need all of us. And it's all about collaboration. So whatever our creative gifts are, or whatever our creative, kind of ideas or dreams that we always thought we could do but never did, it's never too late. So Ruth did this, and she's a little bit older. She's not 20, and she wrote this musical, and she's really digging it. She's having so much fun And she's so proud of herself, and she's so excited that she did it. And so just as an inspiration, that in itself, I think, is incredible. And then the music is really cool too. So Craig, I know you can talk more to that than me for sure.
I agree. The music's great. The theme is great. The idea is great. But I think what you said earlier in your word, you know, what you just said actually, that she did it is the greatest gift.
Yeah, yeah.
Because there's a lot of great out there. Everybody has potential for greatness, right? For me to see Ruth, who I've known for many, many years, realize something that in her wildest dreams she couldn't have even dreamt. Yet she realized, that's cool. It's kind of like David, that teacher who gave me the guitar at 14 and said, go do it, right? Had he not done that, or had I not stepped up, it never would have happened in my life.
Yeah, yeah.
That Ruth, as a 32-year-old woman, she's a little older, but we're cool, realized this dream of hers. That's the story. Because for me, that is, I think, what would be inspiring to a listener. Well, that's Ruth. I mean, that's just quirky, and she just did a song. Or that's Craig. He had opportunity. What can I do? Who knows? Unless you do it. And she did. Right. Musical again. It's a great message. The songs are extraordinary, especially considering that she's not a songwriter. I mean, they're really, really good. She surrounded herself with very, very talented people. A great producer, arranger. Some of the musicians were extraordinary. And she chose my space to produce it in, which, I mean, come on, she's a genius, you know?
So some of the songs that I love, I mean, they're these concepts that she has all throughout it, and it is called Interfaith the Musical, and the idea of it is, you know, a number of points, which are, number one, she used all different kinds of people, different ages, different colors, creeds, all that stuff. At number one, and number two, she really plays with the idea of what brings us together, what we have that's the same as opposed to what separates us. She has a song that's called What If, which I love that song, What If. It's sort of, you know, what if, I don't have the lyrics in front of me, but the concept is, what if, you know, basically, what if I woke up, or what if you woke up, went to bed being Jewish and woke up being Catholic? Or, you know, what if we walked in each other's shoes? What if people who had a leftist philosophy all of a sudden became right, or listened to a person on the other side? You know, what if? And I just think it's such a great, you know, what a great question. What if?
Agreed.
There's something I have this burning question inside of me since you explained the story of how you created this amazing center, Craig, which is, I mean, you had this idea that you had to speak with the community, right? You had to speak with everybody around you to know exactly.
My daughter did.
Your daughter did. So I have this burning question to ask you. Did you ask them about what kind of music they would like to hear, they would like to listen to? What kind of music would, like, you know, inspire them, or they would like to be like hearing when they were in the you know, nearby that location where the center is? What was like that feedback from the community, which is so important?
That was much later, years later, that became part of the conversation. To be clear, when we bought this space, it's in an area of downtown LA that was ignored. It's depressed, it's deprived. And the key thing that we heard first was housing. Can you give us housing? Okay, so music was down. Then can you give us, and housing was like, we can't do that. Can you lobby on behalf of us for housing? Maybe. I'm a musician, what do I know? Then it became food insecurity. There is no grocery store within 5 miles of that, not 5 miles, within 2.5 miles of our center. No grocery store. So where are you going to get fresh produce? And if you have to drive there, okay, but 90% of the people who live there don't have cars. So how are you supposed to walk with your children to the grocery store to bring food? So, and there was not a lot of trust. I'm still the middle-aged white Jewish guy who's coming in all likely, I'm gonna be a developer. I'm gonna tear down their homes and put up a building. What I assumed would take 6 months to a year took 2 or 3 years. The very first thing we did was take off all of the graffiti on the outside of the church/synagogue. The second thing we did was plant trees in the neighborhood. There's a great plan. What's the best planted tree? 100 years ago. So we planted trees. Those trees, 2 years later, now, for most of the people in the community, like, what are these nutty people doing planting trees in the front of our barren, track-filled front yard? Well, we're your neighbors. We want to be good neighbors. Now that tree 2 years later is not just a little thing, it actually has canopy, okay? We put in trash cans. And then 3 years ago, we started something called Vida Sana, where we distribute fresh produce. 250 people come to our community to get free fresh produce that's given to us by a group called Seeds of Hope. And before the distribution of food, there is a cooking class, there is a yoga class for kids, art classes, a mommy and me reading thing that goes on, mostly in Spanish. 80% plus of our community is Spanish speaking. And then we all go outside and they get fresh produce. According to the RAND Corporation, people who participate in this program eat 60% more fresh vegetables than the average Californian. Okay? And right around that time, we started to bring in music from their community as well as musicians from all over the world. We've had amazing musicians perform there, from La Santa Cecilia to members of Ozomatli, Peter Yarrow from Peter, Paul, and Mary. Jackson Brown was there like 3-4 months ago. Great artists from every background, English, Spanish. But the art is hard. Art is a luxury. Art is a privilege. Everybody can access it, but if you're worried about a roof over your head, it's hard to think about music or photography. But we do it. But that was a great question. Thank you.
He's good at that. He's good at that. That's why he gets the big bucks. You know, Craig, I want to ask you also one about, I know you're going to have a fundraiser in the next bit. And, you know, again, I think that, you know, as you're talking, I'm thinking of different musicians I know who I'd love to introduce you to, and, you know, maybe would come and play either for your fundraiser or going forward. And again, I know that the music is what makes people feel that they're at home, even if it's for that hour, even if it's for that half an hour or 2 hours, when everybody comes together and there's music. I'm so glad that over the years, in the last 10 years especially, so many different kinds of churches and new thought places and everything have really brought in like rockin' bands and, you know, really, you know, go for it, because it's just so fun. I mean, it's just so great and fun to sing with people. I know for me, I'm a musician, but I would much rather harmonize with people than just hear myself sing. So I know that you're going to be doing a fundraiser in the next little bit, and I don't, you know, we don't have to have this be a show, a plug for your place specifically, but I do know you're having something coming up. So again, we can talk about it for just a minute. I think it's June 22nd.
On June 22nd, we're having our 5th annual benefit, and we're going to be raising funds to support Vida Sana, which is our food, healthy living day that we have, as well as the Keep It Clean, Keep It Green program, which is the planting trees. We've planted trees, by the way, over 300 trees within a 24 square block area. And
Bless you.
Pretty amazing. I mean, 5 years into it, you should see some of those trees. It's remarkable, the trees.
Are you planting fruit trees?
A challenge, because fruit tree, you know, the city won't plant anything, but a fruit tree, if the fruit falls and somebody slips, they have to be suing us.
Shoot.
So we don't do that. We do plant fruit trees, but in more of an area where there are homeless people experiencing homelessness. It's very close to the freeway. We planted about 20 fruit trees there 6 months ago, actually, and they all have fruit on them because they were older trees. Challenge there is that being close to the freeway, there's a lot of pollutants that, believe it or not, get on the fruit. And how safe is it for some of these people to be eating their fruit? It's challenging. In Los Angeles, especially where we are, homelessness is rampant. It's out of control. It's an epidemic. It's not like, oh, we should build a place for homeless people. It's like, how about really getting to know the people? How about getting work? How about making sure that people have medication? How about making sure that the 10% of the homeless people in Los Angeles are students living in cars because they can't afford to go to school and have an apartment?
Yeah.
This is serious.
Yeah,
This is,
it's so expensive to live in LA. It's sort of insane. I mean, $2,000 for a one-bedroom apartment. It's just kind of out of control. So yay. So people can come to the concert and or donate.
They can go to Pico Union Project, just the way it sounds, picounionproject.org, and learn more about what we do. We obviously appreciate people's money, but we appreciate people's ideas and volunteer efforts. We like to barter a lot. So,
cool.
You know, if somebody has a tree that they want to donate, one of the best things we ever did was say the ticket's $10 to a show, or bring a pillow that you can put on one of them. There are now hundreds of pillows on the benches because people, instead of paying for a ticket, bartered and brought a throw pillow.
Love it.
Nice.
Yeah, it's kind of fun. Yeah.
Awesome. Hey, we have to start wrapping it up, but before that, I think that we've never done it, Sunny, with your permission. And after Craig named her or mentioned her, I think that we have to do it because we've never spoken about her. There's a beautiful soul human being called Dia Shandera, who is a friend with all of us, and she's contributed so much, not only to the evolution of humanity, but also to make millions of people happy. And she keeps on making a huge contribution to this world. And I would like maybe to do a virtual fist bump for Dia Shandera, who has done so much and brought some amazing people here as well for us. And she facilitated also I think that we know, or I personally know, Sunny, thanks to Dia, probably. So
yes,
amazing.
This campfire we're having right now is all because of Dia. Absolutely. So thank you for that, Angel. And I know Dia will be happy about that. And I agree so much. It's so true. And I just want to end by saying again, thank you so much for your creativity, Craig. And, and again, this is such an example of not only what you're doing in LA. I mean, God, it'd be so great if other people in LA do such a thing. But in many countries or many parts of, well, of course in the world, but certainly in America, where people can, be creative with our gifts, our talents, what we already have, using spaces in creative ways that can be used 24 hours a day, maybe, all those kinds of things. So I think you're such an inspiration for what you're doing, and I really love your music too. So thank you so much. Thank you.
Absolutely. And Craig, where can we find you? People that are watching us right now, what's the easiest way to reach out to you?
I would go to the Pico Union Project. I have a website too, but I'm not doing the music as much. So picounionproject.org. Yeah.
You got it.
With one thing that somebody taught me the other day. Her name is Lori Shapiro. I just heard it in the conversation. She says, is it true? Is it necessary? Is it kind?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Before you say something, before you go somewhere. And it's been resonating with me since I heard it. It was probably was last Thursday. It was a big phone call we had. And I was honestly bored to tears by the phone call. There were like 20 of us on this phone call. And does anybody have something to say? And she said, is it true? Is it necessary? Is it kind? So to your listeners, what if today everybody stops before saying something? Once, just once. You know, we're going to say a lot. Is it true? Is it necessary? Is it kind? So I think that I had a good time. I don't know if it was necessary that I did this, but it's good. And it was very nice. Thank you.
You're so welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having you. Sunny, where can we find you?
You can find me on, of course, Instagram, YouTube, the Facebooks, and it's all Sunny Chayes. So Chayes is how you spell the last name, which actually means highest to life, by the way, Craig. I'm half Jewish. And you can also find me on Solutionary Sundays on ABC, KMET, and you can also find me on iHeartRadio and iTunes and all of that, and Whole Lifetime Magazine.
Beautiful.
And here next week.
Exactly. We'll be here. We'll be back next week. And again, Craig, thank you very much for being with Mindalia TV today. Thank you for doing everything that you do every single day. And a pleasure to meet with you again, Sunny. Thank you for bringing Craig today. And everybody watching us, so thank you very much for being with us today. I hope that you enjoyed the show as much as we did. We really appreciate that you came, and next Thursday we'll be again with Sunny Chayes. It's another amazing show, and trying to make everybody, happier, and to bring incredible, human beings that are changing this planet and humanity every single day. So thank you very much, and hope to see you soon. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.